right, so you're back with the Property Project podcast. You're back with your main man, Sean.
And your go-to girl, Cindy.
Yes.
So
how have you been?
Life update. I am going to get into a life update.
I say,
but
like,
also,
how have you been?
I
like,
know.
We've been together, like, it's joint in the hip.
I know, so you know how I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was going to go into the life update, but, you know, I think our thing is about keeping it very real. So, we were late to our podcast. Because we were arguing.
How long?
An hour. And I listen, I know how to argue. So we were an hour late because we were arguing. And I can never go somewhere if my energy isn't like the right. Feng shui is off. If the feng shui is off, your girl can't attend. So I was trying to get us, I think we were trying to get to a space where we could enter, because I was like, I'm not going in. Like, you better find someone else to do this with, because I'm not going in there. And obviously that's not an appropriate response, but things were getting heated and we're just feeling very overwhelmed at the moment because there's a lot going on. And whilst we're super, super grateful, it's hard sometimes to see past that because you're so frustrated and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
So I think, like we touched on before, how we operate is very, very different. We forgot to do a poll, but we're going to do a poll for this one about who's most spontaneous. But I think this argument has concluded that I am the most spontaneous, and that because you're so structured, things can be a little bit more difficult in terms of how I operate. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I'm just more organised, yeah.
I mean, we can go again on camera. I'm sure people would love to see that.
Honestly. Now, we'll do a poll and then we'll find out. But
what's the poll for, though? Is that to kind of confirm for you that I'm spontaneous?
Do you know what? Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll let you have the whole title of spontaneity, but
you are more organised. So I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But
I feel like we just operate very, very differently.
Very
differently. And I feel like where 90% of that difference is the reason why we get from A to B, that 10% is the reason why we stay at A. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to kind of
get past.
I don't think we'll ever get to 100% because I don't know, I don't believe in that 100% kind of area. Do you know what I mean? But I do think we could still minimize the 10% where we're kind of holding each other back at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think our personalities have always been that we definitely say how we feel. It's just the timing and when that happens. Like, I don't really care. I don't really care. Like, I'm going to say it there and then. Whereas you might think about when's the most appropriate time to raise it. But then by that time, 2 weeks has passed and I've forgotten that something might have upset you. And it's just like, why is this even relevant now?
Yeah.
So I think the main thing that the reason I felt, and, you know, that I was asking you if it's okay to kind of bring up and talk about it, is because I think it's so important for us to recognise, although you could be really in a good space in property, because property is so hit and miss for a lot of people. Like, it can be really, really good, but I've also heard so many stories of people starting the journey 6 months in being like, I've lost everything, all my money, this strategy doesn't work, and then it impacting like further on into like the careers that they choose to go on after that, trust issues with people and getting into business with people. And then also, I also recognize that as a male, you operate very differently to how I do. And just even personality wise, that I am someone who probably will be upset in the moment, can carry that on maybe into the night, and then that be that. But for you are very reflective. So that means that it takes you a lot longer to process things. And you need that time to kind of be like, was I wrong? What does wrong look like? Could she be wrong? I
want the job to be done, and then we can reflect afterwards. Then we can be like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So if we've had butted heads at some point, and we're still trying to work out the best way to navigate the situation and get to the end. I just want to get to the end. I don't care if we're at war with each other, and then we've gotten to the end, and then we can reflect. But then I can understand how doing that. We can then see, I don't know, when we get to the end, we might not be in the best position to kind of be able to resolve it at the end. You know what I mean? It's better to be, some things are better to be resolved there and then, so that it doesn't fester into something else. But then if you go to the end and then try to resolve it, it's just going to evolve into something else that it doesn't need to be. The argument could have been over who left trainers in the hallway. Do you know what I mean? Something as simple as that. And then yeah, it just evolves into something else. Well, I don't like the way you spoke to me about that, and you know, it just escalates. Really.
Yeah. And just for clarity, today's argument was basically about the podcast. You can laugh now, right? But
I can laugh now, but I wasn't there
We
about.
were literally beefing 20 minutes ago. So
Yeah,
this is how we kind of operate and what makes us work in business. It's like, although it can take us a really good hour to get through like all the problems, after the hour, we're actually besties again. And you can never deny me.
Oh,
Why is this making noise?
this is quite interesting. Actually,
Can you turn it off your sound though?
Yeah, but I'm gonna let them know what it is though.
Oh, okay.
So this is a guest that we've had issues with in one of our essays, and where we got a minute sensor again, plug it minute. So it's basically told us that the place has been noisy or above the threshold for 20 minutes now. So I'll be updated if it's still noisy or quiet again in 10 minutes. So just before we started the podcast, it told us that it was quite noisy for 10 minutes. It's come up again, 20 minutes now. So I'm going to click onto it and find out how loud it is. So our threshold is about 75 decibels, which is the average temperature, the average noise level for the household. Do you know what I mean? Like people make noise or whatever. But it's now been going up and down, ranging between about 88 decibels now. Okay. So I feel like, I don't know. Kids, I feel like they've got kids, so you have to still think about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And this is kind of, again, where we would differ, because he's probably quite stressed. That's probably on your mind now. That's going to be at the back of your mind.
Yeah, 100%, especially after what we had yesterday.
Whereas for me, I'm kind of weighing up the options as to, could be the children, could be that they're arguing. We all know how we argue at a loud decibel or whatever it is. And yeah, I don't know. Okay, we're going to have to bring the focus back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go on.
So yeah, we were arguing about the podcast. And the main argument was the fact that you like to plan and I'm happy to kind of turn up and whatever takes me. And that's what you find most difficult. And then I find your structure...
You think it's more rigid?
Yeah.
I just operate that way. But I don't know, man, because I feel like, again, more extremes. I feel like your view of the way that I want it done is an extreme. I don't think it's that like that. And my example of, or my view of how you want it done is an extreme. I feel like you could literally walk on here with not knowing exactly what you want to talk about and then just wing it off the cuff. Which you can probably do. Okay, cool. That's fine. But I'm just going to go past that. But I also feel like so I'm not going to come on here and think, all right, I want to talk about A, B, C, and D. But I want to know that, all right, cool. Yeah, this time we're going to be talking about the alphabet. We're going to be talking about numbers. Do you know what I mean? So I know roughly kind of where to engage my mind.
I roughly do know where to engage my mind.
Probably. No, but this is what I'm saying.
And even our job roles, it makes like so much sense, like what you do and what I do.
Yeah.
Like my day to day is not the same, and every family I meet is different. The temperature is different when you go in there, like in terms of the people, like their temperament, how everybody's like what type of house you're going into, what type of rules, what type of morals, the background, the culture, everything's different.
Yeah.
Whereas you're actually you are literally a schedule that you have to make sure runs smoothly, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, something that you did say was that your days are never the same, and that's the same for my work. My days are never the same. No, because when I walk in, I could go in at the same time and have this different problems.
That's me saying SOS.
Yeah. Anyway, but what I do,
the same though.
No, 100%. But I feel like where you are right in saying that is that. There's all the processes are always the same. Yeah. So regardless of whether something else has happened, something different has happened, the processes of almost an elimination to get to the resolution is always the same. You know what I mean? Has this worked? Is that happened? Or has that happened? Is that how things are supposed to be? And then, then you can decipher what's going on, kind of thing. So the processes are always the same. That's why I'm kind of like in life, I'm just following the processes and
step by step,
I will skip what I need to skip, but it just needs to make sense for me, man.
I understand that.
Whereas you just don't care, man.
No,
You're just
I don't. I feel like life's too short to be like,
nah, man,
worried about the next step. Just
because
jump. And if you die, you die.
No, but then if you're unhappy, say if you're unhappy with something that happens on this podcast now, yeah.
I'll re-record it. There's always tomorrow.
No, once it's gone. No, I'm saying once it's gone out. It
wouldn't go out because if I'm not happy with it, it's not going to go out.
No, but
are you trying to argue with me here?
But then, yeah, okay, all right. That's another point. Yeah. So if we record something and it doesn't go out, yeah. Say we record. All right, we've paid, I think about £90 for 3 hours. So let's go. £90 for 3 hours, an hour, £30 for an hour. Yeah. Say if we recorded an hour episode and we didn't put it out, that's £30 lost. Yeah.
To you.
But it's £30 lost.
To you.
Because where's that £30 gone? Where's that accounted for?
I know what I'm not going to do again.
But you've lost £30.
Learning. Is the glass half empty or is it half full? To me, it's always half full. I stand by that.
But this is what I'm saying. And then on top of that, there's been discussions about, okay, like how much we're going to be paying for podcasts and stuff like that. So if we're going to be looking at the cost of how much we're paying, we need to make sure that every minute of the podcast or of this thing that we're monitoring in terms of monetary, value, it needs to make sense. We need to make sure we're getting our value out of it.
But you argued with me for an hour, so...
I was ready to go in.
Oh, were you?
I would have come in and done this podcast by myself.
Oh my gosh, I can't even.
And said that Cindy was on leave.
Oh my days, you're gonna sell me out. Cindy's the issue.
That's it, man.
No, I do get it. I do. Like, I understand how you operate, and it's how majority of people operate. I've always said I'm convinced. The way that my brain works, I'm convinced, and the ADHDers who are diagnosed, don't stone me, but I'm convinced I have ADHD.
Yeah.
And
so you got a mild case of ADHD, and I've got a mild case of autism.
Well, it depends. It depends how you view it and how you see it. But I genuinely do believe I have ADHD. I just think you're very structured in your thinking. But I genuinely do believe I have ADHD. So when the way in which I operate is always very, like, my sister will say it, my mum will say it, like, they'll just look at me. Sometimes it's not even a word, like, they'll just look at me and be like, is everything okay at home? And to me it is, because it's just how I function. Like, I will thrive, for instance, again, going back to work, in a situation where you've had a really busy day. That's a day where you're probably going to come back very stressed, overwhelmed, you just want quiet, you just want to play the game. For me, a busy day keeps me occupied and I thrive. Like, I thrive in chaos. If my birthday, anything, any situation where I need to plan everything, it's going to happen last minute. And I thrive in those situations. I cannot do anything a week before. It's not going to happen. But guess what? The job still gets done. 100%. And it's not at some crappy level. The job gets done at a very, very decent level. And I'm proud of what I do each time. So, I just think, whilst I understand... What are we making a face?
No. Carry on.
Whilst I understand where you're coming from, it's boring to me. Like, that's the only thing. It's like, I do get bored, not by you and what you have to say, but the rigidness. Like, step 1, step 2, but it's also the most adult thing to do, right? And it's like what other adults would do. I just don't consider myself an adult.
So, what are you, a child?
Well, the boy in the shop yesterday called me a child. so basically, we went to the shop yesterday. Just to digress quickly, and there was a little boy, like, I'm telling you, this boy was no more than 15. He was not he was in school, and I think there was a lady in front of him. I believe that was his mum, but
I think that was his older sister. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a female who was significantly older than him, and she had said, I don't know, she said something, but then he whispered, that girl used to go to my school. Sean's in front of me, and then he's walking past him as he says that, but I'm also walking past at the same time. But I genuinely thought there was someone else in the back, so I didn't even flinch. But then Sean pulls me aside in the shop and he's like, you do know who's talking about you? And I was like, there's no way he could have thought I was his 15-year-old age mate. There is no way. And it's obviously, I'm used to wearing wigs as well, so I know even your mum said, okay, this makes me look significantly younger. For those who think I look old, mind your business.
Oh, God.
But like your mum was saying, I look a lot younger.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting that he literally thought I was his age mate.
I even turned around and I was just like, what? Are you serious?
I was quite offended.
Yeah.
Like 15.
Nah, man.
And it's the way he whispered to his mum with like excitement, like, she went to my school. I did not. I guarantee you, even if I did go to your school, we were not even in close. You were not in year 7
11
and I was not It wasn't.
You're 11, year 7. Yeah.
It wasn't.
Nah, man.
But yeah, I do think you do operate more like an adult. I operate a little bit more like a child who is an adult. And I'm okay with that. I'm living my best life.
Okay. And that's why you see the kids like running around, you know, when they're being walked on the side and whatever, and they're running around living their best life, and then you just got the adult in the back that's just tired of all their shenanigans.
Because they want to be.
Of course.
You can choose what you want to be.
You can choose.
And if you choose to be tired or miserable, I mean.
But we're best friends now.
We are best.
We are best friends.
We actually are.
We get on my nerves, but we're best friends.
I mean, but I mean that's pretty much that topic, I guess.
Yeah.
Just don't beef with me again, like just before we go to a podcast, and then we can utilize the time as you like to in the right way.
Yeah.
With a step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, let us know which side you kind of gravitate towards. More like my rigid side, where it's like, boring. You know, things need to happen in a certain way, and they need to make sense in order for you to kind of progress. Or are you more the spontaneous, just wing it? I don't know. I don't care what happens, but we'll just see what happens kind of.
And you hit the success. Don't act like I don't hit success every time I wing it.
Yeah, but then if I ask you to repeat that, you'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say I don't know, but I do know, have a method to the madness. That's why it's a saying. Having a method to the madness is a real thing.
But you, okay.
And if you don't want to be mad with me, that's okay.
So what's more teachable to someone else?
Me.
No. Whose method is more teachable? No, you can't teach. You will score spectacular goals, but mine would be down to the run. It'd be down to, I can repeat my
That's
process.
why no one can copy me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
of course. Obviously,
you could be copyright. You're putting yourself out there to be copyright.
That's fine. I just need to monetize it.
Tired of you. The main thing here is being able to understand if you are in a relationship whilst being in business, whatever that business is, being able to operate in a way that allows you both to have the space to disagree, but disagree in a way that you meet some resolution. Yeah. And it's so interesting because we did actually have a couple people over this week kind of speak to us about their business partners and things that they're hitting difficulty with as well. And I would just kind of, as a bit of advice, it's like, know the person that you are going to go into business with. Know their traits, their downfalls. You need to know all that kind of stuff. And if you guys aren't open about it, you're never going to be able to reach a resolution. Yeah. But I also think the main kind of conversation here is understanding the impact property can have when things feel turbulent on someone's mental health. And especially as a man. Because to be honest, like I said, with my chaotic ways, something affects me for 1 minute and then I'm on to the next thing because the next thing needs to affect me, right? Because I'm chaotic. But with you, where you're so structured, you really have to go through things and that can impact you and how you feel. So just being able to take the time to understand that. Do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, something that you kind of touched on really when you was talking about like the mental health side of things. And I know you asked me this question outside and like whether we want to talk about it, but it's just like, I don't know, man. Again, something that I kind of struggle with is when it comes to that time to really open up and be vulnerable, because it opens you up to being criticized, scrutinized, all them eyes.
Big words, yeah.
All them eyes. And that's something that I'm still kind of not comfortable with yet. I'm learning to kind of not just be comfortable with that, but create a person or a persona that is comfortable with that. You know, like a alter ego that can jump in and out. Do you know what I mean? Like my alter ego at the moment is the one that's comfortable in my private life and, you know, it is what it is. But then you also need to kind of be that person who is outgoing, charismatic. I feel like just easy to get on with when you go to networking events, when you're meeting other people, and just through channeling the right energy, you know, making more, or networking more, should I say. So that's what I'm kind of struggling with at the moment. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, that's why I'm kind of linking it to social media and sometimes being that person, that persona to try and navigate or make it seem like, you know, you are likable and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Am I kind of making sense?
No, I
Do you know what
definitely get you. And I think that's sometimes why we do have few days breaks where if we actually have nothing to say and it's nothing positive or even nothing that's going to be like part of learning, we just don't say it.
Yeah.
But I would say, and you know, behind closed doors and on here, it is really important to speak to someone about opening up, because yes, you are open with me. I don't want anyone to get that twisted. But the fact is, there's still, if you're someone who struggles with being open, you can never be fully open with anyone.
No, exactly.
So it's just important to encourage that in a space like property where things are changing all the time. Money changes, bad business happens, you know, cash flow can go really low, or a situation can happen that costs you so much money. Or just enjoying, like having everything in front of you but not really knowing how to enjoy life. Yeah. So we'd obviously encourage everyone and anyone to kind of get that support that's needed. Yeah, 100%. We weren't going to go with this as a first episode today, but we've done it.
I feel like it needed to be.
It needed to be said.
How long we got left? We got about
We're over. We're over. One. Yeah, on to the next one.
Okay. All right, cool. Do you know what? I kind of warmed up about the whole mental health thing.
Did you? We can go on. We can extend it, a special extension.
Fair enough.
We did say 20 minutes because Sean had done a really, really good research. Sean had done really good research about 20 minutes and how kind of like TED Talks, people have only concentration for something like, what is it? 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Three minutes. I think it's up to 8 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So Sean did some research about that. But if you're on the mental health topic, I think it's super important, especially with my line of work. But you kind of roll with that and I will follow. You lead.
But so I think I'll be real, I think my mental has just been struggling a little bit with especially since being on the property journey. I think it kind of stemmed from seeing things differently, seeing ways of kind of getting out of the matrix per se, and then looking around and seeing those that I feel that are still in the matrix kind of thing, or my loved ones, shall I say, and being able to try and share the same things that I'm learning about. And I feel like those gems or those the bits of advice that really stuck with me aren't really being taken on by those people. And I feel like I'm not being really heard. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes when I am saying these things, I am like the minority, and then the majority, it's easy for the majority to say, well, I don't think things should be done like that. It should be done like this. And then feeling like, okay, maybe things aren't really, I start to question myself as to, okay, maybe is it what I'm saying? Is that wrong? Or are people just comfortable being in a certain, or living life a certain way, or, you know? And I feel like my thing has been more, I just want everyone to just level up to the point where, or be the best version of themselves.
But I also feel like, and I guess this is the battle, that you can't be responsible for somebody else's journey or where they want to be in life. And some people are actually comfortable and happy where they are.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing is happiness. Yeah. Whilst you think the best possible thing is to be the best version of yourself. Yeah. And that you think that the person sat opposite you might not be the best version of themselves. At the end of the day, that person might be sat in that very seat thinking, do you know what? Last week I made it through a very tough week and I'm very proud of myself. Last week I just became a new parent. I'm very proud of myself. Yeah. Last week I actually said no at my workplace and I'm very proud of myself and I'm content. Yeah. And I think that's what you struggle with, is that you want everyone to be in a space of like,
make things
more
happen,
than comfortable, doing what you say, putting your money where your mouth is. Yeah. And that might be the case with other people, just on a smaller scale, or on a different scale. It's not even, I guess you can't even measure it in terms of smaller or bigger, but it's just on a different scale. And I think it all comes from a good place where your intent is to share these moments with people, but also not feel like you're boasting about the moments because everyone's kind of on the same path. Yeah. But not being able to do that because everyone's not on the same path. So it's just like, I can't really tell you about my journey without sounding a little bit like I'm
boasting about like what I've learned or what I know or anything like that. Yeah. Because again, like these are people, like I take on people's problems, my loved ones' problems as my own. And I think that's something that I've struggled with, because I need to learn how to understand what they're going through, but I don't need to take it on as my own. Because if someone tells me that they want to do something, and sometimes you have friends that will tell you constantly about they have this aspiration for themselves, or they want to do this, or they want to go in this direction. And if someone tells me that, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to help. I'm going to change up my schedule. I'm going to change up everything that I'm doing so that we can help you out. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's say, for example, if someone wanted to go be more consistent in gym, I'm like, all right, cool. Do you know what? I'll change up and we can go gym together. No, not even. No, because I've had this conversation.
But I have said that to you, so I do understand, and I guess that's the conversations. I understand. It's so difficult because before we started property, I would never understood where you were coming from. But like now being in property, that's given a lot of hindsight in terms of people saying that they want to do stuff but not doing it.
But then even like I've had these conversations with like my friends as well. Do you know what I mean? And like even when it gets down to like I've had another conversation with one of my best friends where he was talking about he's in the 9-to-5 and he's got this passion and he wants to accelerate at his passion, but he doesn't know how to make that jump because he's got his family to look after and stuff like that. And obviously when we go on these courses and we obviously through being in business, we pick up these gems and these systems and these ways to excel or propel life.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I'm paying for this stuff. Yeah. Normally, if I'm giving it to someone else, I should be charging. But because I love these guys, I'm going to give them nuggets for free. Yeah. Now, if they're not taking the nuggets, that then pisses me off. And I'm thinking, right, like I'm giving you what I paid for free. So why are you not taking it on? Because it's not like I'm just telling you, you need to do this. You've come to me and told me you have this problem. I'm saying, all right, cool. From what I've learned, I feel you should do this. And now you don't want to do it. Yeah. So that's that's kind of where I'm at the moment. What are you laughing about? No, it's just like, yeah, it feels good. You know what? Yeah. Thank you for telling me to kind of talk about it because I feel like I wasn't going to talk about it because I always try to stay in my head, but I feel so much better. There might not even be a resolution just yet, but getting it out there.
That it's been heard. Yeah. Well, the main thing to know is that, not in a mushy way, but you're obviously valued in so many people that you speak to and that you have connections with, and even people outside of that. And my mum is literally your biggest fan. She literally thinks you're famous. She sees you on your other podcast and she's like, yeah, Sean. Sorry, mum. Sean. So like everything is Sean. So it's like, just know that some of the little gems that you do say to people, or when you have those small conversations, people do take those on, but it's also not your responsibility to make somebody want to change. And that is when you have the intention of wanting to bring your loved ones up with you and they don't want to go up, don't take that guilt because it's not for you to hold. It's for them. And actually it might not even be guilt because they might be happy just where they are.
And I think it's because my ideal vision, I've always said, is just for me and my loved one to just be in a place where we ain't in the matrix and we can do what we want, and we can like if you tell me that you don't want to do something, it's literally because you don't want to do it. It's not because you have to go to work or you got to do this or you got to do that, or things that are just holding you in bondage. You know what I mean? I just want us all to be free of that financial restraint, that financial wrap that we're under. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we've gone way over time with this one. So
it was needed, and I'm glad you were able to get that off your chest. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of, especially males, feeling the same way. And, it's probably boring hearing the same old conversation, but it's so important to speak about the things that might be holding you back, the things that might be giving you sleepless nights, the things that you stress about. Because I think girls do find it a lot easier, but also there are some women out there who do struggle with that as well. So I'm glad you got it off your chest.
Yeah, man.
That's the end of this podcast. We'll be back.
Anyone going through the same thing, just shout me, man. Let's have a conversation about it.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean? So
open those channels. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today on the Property Podcast, and we'll see you soon.
Yes. Peace.